Galimera, Galimera, Galimera. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And here's Mr. Pickles, sat as good as gold, waiting for me, obviously, to park myself down there. Thank you, Mr. Pickles. Bless him. Right, okay. Weather today, as you can see, absolutely glorious. Very, very hot. Can I just say thank you to all those people who have reposted the message for missing Herbie, have sent their support in hoping that we find him. Again, as you can obviously see, still no sign of Herbie. I think the only thing we can think is that maybe a bird of prey has taken him. Hopes that he may have got a little bit disorientated. He'd been off on some wild adventure and he'd come home hungry and tired with stories of what he'd been up to. I'm a feeling we're sort of resigning ourselves to the fact that we're not going to see him. And it's not the first time we've had this happen to us here, to be quite honest. And not that you ever get used to it, but it's kind of one of those facts of life that you kind of accept when you live here in Zakynthos. But anyway, we're keeping an eye on this little fella to make sure that you don't become food for some bird of prey. And there he is, jumping about, full of beans. Right, let's have a quick look at the news for today. First of all, the weather. Thank you to the lovely Amanda for the weather forecast. She says, morning, sunny weather today, sunny with gentle breeze. Highs of 28, but it's going to feel like 31. Have a great day. Jane today is out guiding today, so she's up at the shipwreck. She's going to be up there all day today, taking guests up there. So I'm here on my own, and today's going to be like a mega catch-up day for stuff. I'm going to actually start making my dance anthem program today ahead of schedule, just so that it's done, so that we can spend a bit of time together, hopefully on Tuesday. When obviously Jane may have a day off. But anyway, you go from one extreme to the other. Just a quick one for you. Yesterday's arrival, the two flights from the UK. Dave Lismore, I know, arrived on the British Airways flight early in the afternoon. So once again, nice to see you back here on the island. I know you're going to be staying down in the area of Argosy. And also, interestingly, Jane had to go and meet the EasyJet flight that was from Bristol. And when she went down to meet the guests that she had to meet, they were two Romanians, a Romanian couple who actually live in the UK. And they'd flown from Bristol to Greece to have a holiday, and they arrived yesterday. I'm not sure where they're staying, but Jane went and met up with them yesterday. So, yeah, those two British flights did actually make it here to Greece yesterday, despite everything that's been going on. Arrivals today then, if you're curious, we've got one flight in from Athens today. We've got two in from Amsterdam. We've got one flight in from the Czech Republic, from Prague. We also have one flight in from Vienna, Austria. One flight in from Brussels. We've got three flights in from Germany today, which include Dusseldorf, Eindhoven and Frankfurt. We've got one flight in from Bucharest, which is in Hungary. We've got one flight in from Corfu, which is interesting. We've got one flight in from Tel Aviv. We've got one flight in from Italy. And we've got one flight in from Vilnius, which is in Lithuania. So it's sounding like the European Song Contest. And again, no flights at all in from the United Kingdom. So we shall just wait and see how things transpire. Right now, when it comes to the COVID infections across Greece in the last 24 hours, good news, really. They are starting to dwindle. That's the words that the Greek authorities are using, the word dwindle. So that means infections are down from yesterday, 469 yesterday, down to 392. There were 4 cases identified at entries into the port. That's up slightly on the day before, where we had 2. Again, still no cases being identified here on Zakynthos. The only stats they're putting out is locations that go into double figures. And at the moment, none of the Ionian Islands are in any kind of double figures. So at the moment, no cases still in Zakynthos, meaning that we've only had 6 cases for the entire month of June, which is good news. When it comes to deaths, believe it or not, death rate has been stable. 20 deaths yesterday, 20 deaths today. That brings the total death toll up to 12,534. Again, 96% of those had underlying health problems or were over the age of 70. And then when it comes to incubated cases, those cases are down from 307 yesterday to 301 today. That's 194 male and 107 female. So again, the average age of those people in critical condition, 68 years of age, 83% of them got underlying health conditions or are over the age of 70. So that's the stats for today. Right, the news then. The news is quite a varying interest of news. First of all, the tourism ministry on Friday, the Greek tourism ministry on Friday, announced two important changes to the health protection protocols for tourists entering the country. Anyway, firstly, the government has decided to also permit entrance into the country to travellers with a negative rapid test. So if you've got a negative rapid test, you don't have to have a vaccine or anything like that. They are still going to let you into the country. Anyway, secondly, the minimum age at which children entering the country are required to submit documentation showing that they are COVID-free. That age limit has been put up from 6 to 12. So that's good, especially with families who probably want to come over. And of course, all those extra costs and that you will incur. But at least now for children under the age of 12, you don't need to have to start submitting all that paperwork. Anyway, the reason for that is this is to bring Greece in line and accordance with EU regulations at the moment and guidelines. Anyway, the above changes concern people arriving from countries from which non-essential travel and to Greece is permitted. So those travelling to Greece are also given the option now of displaying an EU digital vaccination certificate in either a digital or written form instead of a negative test. So these changes are applied to the existing rules, which required travellers to display certification of either a negative PCR test, vaccination, or of a COVID-19 diagnosis in the last 2 to 9 months. So if you'd had the disease, you had to obviously have this certificate to say you've had it within the last 9 months, all right, or 2 to 9 months. Anyway, also as well, the Civil Aviation Authority, they also updated their guidelines for travel into the country during the ongoing pandemic. These guidelines are in force until 6 a.m. on Saturday, the 26th of June, which is next week. They could be further updated as has been done in numerous times. So these things could change during the week, but this is the way it stands at the moment up until the 26th. Now, under the latest rules, travel into Greece without a need to quarantine on arrival is permitted only from European Union and Schengen area countries. However, the following are exempt from the ban on arrival from third countries, and this includes the United Kingdom and the United States. There's a massive list of about 14, 15 countries. I didn't want to go through that list, but basically we're on the list where you do not need to quarantine on arrival into the country, which is still good for those people that want to come over, sit out the 90 days and see what happens with the UK and also with the travel restrictions that are still in force there at the moment. All travellers coming into Greece now must submit a passenger locator form, a PLF, at the travel.gov.gr by the evening of their arrival and on one of 3 of the following documents. Okay, on an official vaccination certificate stating that 14 days has passed since full vaccination of the COVID-19, a negative PCR test, and that must be written in either Greek, English, French, German, Italian, Spanish or Russian, and must have been performed not less than 72 hours before the arrival, or a negative rapid test performed at least 48 hours before arrival. Anyway, or you can have a recovery certificate, again written in Greek, English, French, German, Italian, Spanish or Russian, stating that the person in question has recovered from coronavirus within the past 9 months. So there you go. That kind of contradicts the earlier information, I know some people are going to say, But in reality, most people coming in, if they have got this recovery certificate, they've been waved through. So again, if you know of anybody not getting in with the recovery certificate, then let me know. But so far, I've not heard of anybody refused entry who have not had one within that time criteria. Anyway, interestingly, a very important development has taken place in Moscow. It seems the Russians are coming. The Deputy Prime Minister of Russia, Tatiana Gologov, announced an increase in flights to Greece from June the 28th, while earlier she also announced that from June the 22nd, flights to Turkey will also open as well. Now, this confirms the stories that Money and Tourism were putting around, that basically the opening of Turkey will take place regarding epidemiology data. Remember, they were running articles saying that Putin was using travel by Russian people as a form of reward to certain regimes that were obviously basically in favor of the Russian regime, Turkey obviously being one of those. And again, even though Turkey's got one of the highest rates of coronavirus epidemiology, Putin is still going to allow his people to go on holiday there as a little reward to the government of Turkey that, yeah, you're all right with us, mate. We'll send you our people, which is interestingly, he's also now opened up Greece as well. He's allowing Russians to come and visit Greece. So again, it's a bit of a two-edged sword there at the moment. However, these announcements have some vague points at the moment that are going to be clarified on Monday with the issuance of relative legislative decree. Now, more specifically, from June the 28th, the Russians will open flights to Bulgaria, Cyprus and Greece from Moscow and the regions. It has also been approved for the resumption of flights between Russia and other countries such as Italy and Jordan, which are also popular with Russian tourists. It must be reminded that Money and Tourism had written many reports that the Russian side follows a reluctant tactic this year, not allowing charter flights to Greece, allowing some minimal flights of dubious legality, and these are mainly cargo flights that are flying in. Also, it seems interestingly, air traffic control here in Greece now extends beyond Athens and Thessaloniki to Heraklion, Rhodes and Corfu, Araxos and Zakynthos, and it also noted that not only the frequency of flights is increasing, but also the airports from Russia that will be allowed into Greece as well. That's going to be increased as well. So again, we're going to wait and see how this plans out with the Russians. To be honestly, I'm not holding up much hope that somehow the Russians are going to come in here and save everything with their spending. To be honest, we've had Russians here before. They were always, could be a very awkward demographic. Some of the Russians that I met in my time here were more privileged, shall we say. I'd say one thing for them to come on holiday here wasn't cheap. I actually met a few Russians in the media here who came over, and it was interesting talking to them about what was going on, and I was amazed that they were so open and so candid with everything that was going on. Now, this was maybe about 5 years ago, and we haven't seen any Russians really of note since then. It'll be interesting to see as well if the Russian Navy may put an appearance in, maybe, because they did in the past have a little stop off on their way either to Syria or back from Syria, and they would stop here in Zakynthos to do a little parade up and down the street of Zakynthos town to go and lay wreaths at the founder of the Russian Navy. So again, we'll see if that transpires over the season, which will make things even more interesting. And what is more interesting is what the Bank of Greece is saying at the moment. The Bank of Greece said in its financial stability review that was released on Thursday that the Greek system has weathered the COVID-19 pandemic crisis well and has remained resilient. Interesting. Anyway, the central bank noted that the high stock of non-performing loans, or NPLs, and the quantity of prudential owned funds remains the biggest challenges facing the financial system, along with a stronger bank sovereign nexus. Now, The economic activity was significantly impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, they said, driving the economy deep into recession. Well, that was obvious, and triggering shocks in the financial system. Again, that was obvious. However, a series of measures enacted by the authorities, i.e. the Greek government, the Central European Bank, and the single supervisory mechanism, and examined in the review, have largely curbed the impact of the pandemic. And basically, lots of loans, lots of cheap money is going to be flooding in, basically to keep the system running. Anyway, against this backdrop, the Greek banking sector must address both the existing and the existing and the novel, as they call it, pandemic-related challenges, and ensures that the uninterrupted flow of credit to the real economy. So basically, again, what they're saying there is people still need to borrow money to be able to go and buy stock, to obviously start to pay staff, obviously to just get their businesses up, turning and burning. And this will be a problem. If people have burned through money in the winter, just trying to stay alive, they're going to have big outgoings going for the beginning of the season. And again, I was speaking to some hoteliers just the other day who said that they have decided to hang back and wait because they want to see what's going to happen in the realms of whether they're going to get business from the market that they're looking for, which I'm not going to say which market it is. And I can obviously see you guessing already which market it is. But on the other hand, as they said to me, we're going to have to borrow money to be able to go and get the stock that we need to get things up and running. Things like the management of their swimming pool, refilling the pool, all of this costs money, and it's money that they will not see back very quickly as well. So that's another thing that the banks are now reassuring, that they're going to ensure an uninterrupted low flow of credit so people can borrow money so they can obviously get their business back up and running, ready for whatever tourists they get, whether they're Russian or whatever they get, to obviously keep their business afloat and keep their business alive. Anyway, they've also said about important initiatives by the Greek banks and the government through the implementations of the Hellenic Asset Protection Scheme, or HAPS as that's been called, has definitely contributed to the reduction in the non-performing loans ratio. However, this ratio is still manifold of the Greek European average without taking into account any new non-performing loans that will emerge as a result of the COVID-19 crisis. In this context, they said banks must expedite the recognition of any new NPLs in their balance sheets as COVID-related support measures begin to be phased out in order to ensure that the challenges that they are now facing are properly disclosed. So basically what they're saying is this. One, there looks like there's going to be no more money coming from the government in the way of supporting people. Two, they're talking about honesty in people borrowing money and how much money people have had in being able to keep their business alive and keep their business going. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to go to a bank asking for a loan to reactivate your bank, your business, trust me, the banks are going to want to know what you've already borrowed to be able to do that. And knowing the way that the banks have worked in the past, especially when we had the economic crash in 2008, when the banks took a lot of property, they took a lot of hotels. We had a friend who lost their hotel in 2008, all for the fact that they couldn't find 100,000 euros to be able to regenerate their business, to get it back running again. And so, again, there is a danger that businesses are going to fold, and they're going to fold for ludicrously small amounts of money in the overall realm of the bigger picture. And that means that they basically are going to want honesty from those people applying for loans to basically regenerate their business and get it up and running. I think things are not as what the Bank of Greece have said. For the banks, it might be great, but for the ordinary man on the street, no. It's not looking good. Oh, and another thing that I keep forgetting to mention, that the Prime Minister of Greece, Mr. Mitsotakis, is also an ex-banker as well. And he knows how the system runs and he knows how the system operates. And trust me, he's been very quick to help out his buddies in the banks, more so than the ordinary man on the street. As is always, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, that always seems to be the picture. When it all goes balls up, they'll bail out the banks, but they won't bail you out, all right? So, again, we're going to keep an eye on that story. We're going to see how that transpires. Also, an interesting story that was hot off the press this morning, and I noticed my mate Aaron Vardy, ex-Scotland Yard detective, or I'm not sure if he's still working with Scotland Yard, but he's tuning in at the moment. This is one for you, Aaron. An Athens policeman was arrested on Saturday for robbing 11 petrol stations since April. He's subsequently been suspended with immediate effect. I think that would be by the course. But police actually have said that he committed the 11 robberies between the 9th of April and Saturday just gone. So at the moment, that's all they've put out. No more information than that. And we shall wait and see what becomes of that case. Also as well, yesterday we just touched lightly on it. Questions surrounding who's going to get custody of Carolyn Crouch's baby, named Lydia. You might remember Carolyn was the girl that was murdered by her husband, the pilot, and basically caused an absolute storm in Greece because it was said there had been a home invasion. They'd killed the dog, they killed her, searching for money in the house and ransacked it. Well, as you know, it all turned out to be that the husband, Babis, had done it, and basically obviously there's now an issue about the custody of the child. Now the custody before his arrest was obviously the child was in the father's custody, but now that he's admitted to murdering his wife and the family dog on Wednesday, prosecutors are now faced with the difficult question of where the child should be placed to be safe as possible in the coming days. Now, according to an article, which is the 1532 of the Civil Code, the prosecutor's office has two options. The baby may be assigned either to the relatives of the mother, who is in Aloncio, or to the family of the father. Okay. Now, investigators are to discover where the child will fare best in the long run, and they have already started to begun this. Social services are now examining the living conditions the child would receive in both family homes in order to hopefully come to a conclusion of which one is more suitable for the minor. However, Article 1532 of the Greek Civil Code also highlights the extremely urgent cases the prosecutor can take, and any and all measures to safeguard the interests and the protection of the child until the court decision is issued, which must be addressed within 90 days, with the possibility extension of this deadline by an additional 90 days. So basically what they're saying, they're giving 90 days for all the evidence to be collected about the two families, where the child would be best off, and then obviously a decision will be made by the court after that 90 days. Now, Babis, the father, he's currently held at the Attica Police Headquarters, known as Garda, in Athens at the moment. He did release a statement through his lawyer. I'm not even going to read his statement at the moment, simply because he's just trying to justify what he did, and I just don't like the language, basically. So I'm not going to read out his statement. He'll get enough time to protest his kind of innocence, all right, to what went on. Anyway, and finally, a bit of a mixed happy story at the end. The Sheikh of Qatar's super yacht, named the Al Mubak, was spotted in Greece, moored near the island of Zakynthos on Saturday. I know we've got viewers who are always looking out for the yachts that come here. But anyway, he's now in the area, basically. He's around, all right? Now, this massive yacht was spotted at Martha Beach, which is close to Kourianis, one of the main towns in Zakynthos. The yacht itself is a head turner. It's been here in the past. It's of, and they're describing this, not me, humongous dimensions, all right? It has amenities such as a helipad. It's got 12 suites on board. It has a gymnasium as well. It has a jacuzzi and a movie theatre, and obviously the obligatory helipad as well. Anyway, the boat is actually the 6th largest yacht in the world and is also the 3rd most expensive yacht to have ever been built. So it's not always about the size, it's about what's in it that can make it more expensive, all right? Think on, Philip Green, your money used from pensions from House of Fraser, all right, for your yacht. Anyway, we won't go there. Anyway, interestingly, the question is this. The Sheikh of Qatar was actually the victim of a massive fraud here in Zakynthos back in 2014 when he basically, for the cost of, I think it was about 400,000 euros, was buying the rights to buy land here in Zakynthos in the Volymez area. That's up in the mountains where, guess what? The shipwreck happens to be. And we had all these stories that the Sheikh of Qatar had come here. He was doing a deal and that he was going to build a golf course in the north end of the island. He was going to clean up the area around where the shipwreck was. And basically, this would be a massive boost to tourism that Zakynthos would never have ever dreamed of. Anyway, it turned out that the people that he were dealing with were fraudsters. He'd been basically conned out of 400,000 euros. Oh, okay. Anyway, you don't con the Sheikh of Qatar out of 400,000 euros and think that you can get away with it. He's been pursuing a legal case here. In fact, just the other day, it was actually written about here in the local press as well, that already an indictment has been served on 7 people. One of them, his name is Mr. G. Harros, who they said did not own a single square metre of the 14,500 acres he sold in 2014 to the Sheikh. He obviously was buying the rights, and I do remember people at the time being very suspicious of this deal and actually saying to me at the time, do you know what, Ginge? He's never going to get to build this golf course. It's never going to happen. So again, he's chucking good money after bad. It's a very complicated story, but that's it in a nutshell. The legal ramifications of it and everything else are still ongoing. But anyway, it will be interesting to see if the Sheikh of Qatar will turn up. And the good thing about the Sheikh of Qatar with his super yacht, he cannot get his super yacht into Skiathos. It's too big to go in there, but it did manage to fit into our little port here. And it was happily moored up there for quite a few days. And I do remember going down to look at it and thinking, wow, that is a yacht. That is a super yacht of magnitude. But anyway, we'll see if he turns up. He'll probably turn up with an axe to grind looking for the people who sold him the land. But anyway, we'll wait and see. Anyway, let's have a quick look and see who's tuning in at the moment. I've seen a few familiar faces. Julie Meldrum is watching. Janet Clooney is watching as well. Liz Crystal over there in Oxford is watching, the wife of good old Tim, our Elvis. I hope you're all right, guys. Also as well, Lorna Grant is watching as well. Lorna Grant says, morning, Gins. Hubbies are now back home. Okay, there must be another part to that message at the moment. Let's have a look. I so get annoyed the way this tablet is. I'm going to have to get a GoFundMe for a new tablet, I think. Gallimera, lovely to see Pickles. Somebody has just written up. Maria Hadelberg is also tuning in from Switzerland. From Sweden. Nice to have you looking in as well. I did see a mention about Father's Day, just to remind you that today is Father's Day for all those celebrating. As far as I'm aware, it's Father's Day for the UK, because again, there's a couple of Father's Days, like Father's Day International, Father's Day in America, Father's Day in Britain. It's not all on one day. I don't know why they don't just standardise Father Days so that we're all singing off the same song sheet and make it easy for the card companies, that's for sure. But anyway, for all you dads out there, happy Father's Day. I hope you get treated and you get spoilt as well. And somebody's just said, good morning, Ginge. Happy Father's Day to you all, dads today. That's from Zanty Pete. Thank you, Zanty Pete. I take that with great thanks. Right, I think that's it from me for today. Big shout out to Cy Grinley, Barbara Telfer, and also Rosewood, who are tuning in as well, and Lorna Grant. I still don't know what's going on with Lorna Grant, but hubby's back. I'm so pleased about that. But I wish, unless you mean Herbie, no, Herbie's not back. If that's what you meant, if you just misspelt hubby with Herbie, I can understand with the closeness on the old keyboard. Anyway, oh, hang on about. He spoke to you in the art bar the other night. Oh, Lorna Grant. Oh, hang on a minute. He spoke to you in the art bar the other night, came over for 10 days, nightmare with paperwork. Oh, bless you. This was the guy, I couldn't remember his name, but he was obviously going down, I think, to sort out his residency permit. I don't know, obviously, how he got on. I don't know what was said, but thank you, Lorna, for getting in touch. Email me privately. I'd be curious to see what the outcome was, because as I said yesterday's broadcast, let's not forget now, let's get rid of this expat thing in a lot of people's heads. We're not expatriates. We are actually immigrants here. Let's just be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. We're immigrants here. And if you don't meet the criteria, then obviously you are not going to be allowed to stay. All right. We had a lot of privileges when we were in the EU. Those privileges have now gone since Brexit. I'm not going to get into an argument about Brexit. All right. But a lot of people have lived here for a very long time, had not done the basic requirements of getting their AMCA number or getting their ICA numbers or whatever, or even just filling in an income tax return while they've been here. So immediately you've now put yourself at disadvantage when it comes now to being granted. And if you remember the golden visa system that the Chinese seem to be exploiting because they want investment from China in Greece. Again, they're having to show that they've spent 250,000 euros on property or on business here in Zakynthos to actually be able to qualify to be able to get the golden visa. And you might also remember before that golden visa scheme came in, there was a big scandal here on Zakynthos when a certain person here, I'm not going to mention his name, but he knows who he is, was selling residencies, all right, and a Chinese person wrote a letter to the minister saying, I haven't received my my residency permit that I paid 7,000 euros for. And that opened a can of worms here back in that time as well. So anyway, there you go. By the by, if you qualify for the residency, it's a privilege. And don't forget that. And if you get the 10 years, you're extra privileged. You get the 5 years, again, you're privileged. I'm lucky. I've got the 10 years. Morning. That's our next door neighbour. So therefore, yeah, treasure it, because now it's as good as your little passport here to say that you have the right to stay. And also make sure if you have got that little permit, make sure you don't get your passport stamped with only 90 days allowed to reside, all right? Because that's another little issue with the keenness of certain officials to start using their stamp, as they love doing here in Greece. Make sure if you have the residency permit, don't get your passport stamped with 90 days, all right? Right, that's it from me. I shall keep my ear to the ground. Just remind you, don't forget tonight, it's my Northern Soul show, which goes out on Beats Radio tonight at 5 o'clock UK time, 7 o'clock here, and I'm on air. I'll be in the chat area chatting away, so come and join me, and you have a good day no matter what you are, wherever you are. Have a good one. I'll keep my ear to the ground. If I hear of anything, I'll let you know. Ta-ra.